and welcome back to JC Sports, your favorite sports ASMR podcast. I'm Jackson.
I'm Cameron.
We're just kidding. No ASMR today. I mean,
Jackson, we should do a whole podcast like that. See if we can last.
I feel I would not be able to last. Like I would just like break out laughing, and if you were try to say something really impassioned like while whispering, like I would just lose it. Like I would just start laughing.
Yeah. But anyways, this is episode 12 on a Tuesday. Unfortunately, it's a little bit later than we would have liked. We were super busy yesterday, and I had a whole bunch of things to do today. But we're going to get it done. We're going to get through this. Not so much to talk about.
Especially on the football landscape. We don't got a whole lot to talk about. But we'll talk about our favorite, the best remaining free agents, where we think they fit the best. And, of course, we got a couple trades to talk about.
Of course.
All right, let's start off with the Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers trade. What do you think?
Well, you kind of proved me wrong on this one. I know I said I thought the Jets were going to stick with Sam, but unfortunately, it looks like the Jets are moving on. They're moving on with a lot. So I think the Carolina may be a good thing for Sam because it's a new team. Great thing for Carolina, in my opinion. I like Sam Darnold. I know you're not super fond of him, but I like him. I think he's a good quarterback that was set up for failure. So if he can lead the Panthers to, let's say, an 8-8 or a 9-7. Actually, I'm sorry, an 8-7 or a 9-8, right? No,
yeah, that would be
or a 10-7 or a 10-7. Maybe he can lead into a 10-7. But anyways,
yeah. So the Panthers gave up a 6th this year and a 2nd and a 4th next year to go get him, who they think it will at least be moving forward their quarterback of the future. I think it's like mostly a kind of a 2-year prove it, especially considering that the Panthers are not intended to be contenders. You know, for those next 2 years.
As of right now, yeah.
As of right now, they won't be. But, you know, like, moving forward, like, do we give you a new contract? And so I think that'll be what it is. It'll be like reading Sam Darnold, you know, what he can do. Can he be fixed after, you know, Adam Gase screwed him over? Do you think he can be fixed under Matt Rule under Carolina?
You know my answer to this, of course. Like I said, I think he was a quarterback with really good talent that was set up for failure immediately.
But
as soon
is
as
he
came
too
to the
broken now to fix? Like that's what I'm saying.
No,
like,
nobody is. He's only been in the
so?
league. It's not like he's been in the league for 6 years. He's been in the league since what, 2018? Or 2019. He's got time. He's He's literally only what, 25, 24.
And he'll get to work with weapons. Even though the Carolina is not a super offensive powerhouse, he'll get to work with much better weapons than he did in New York ever. He'll have Christian McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's basically better than all of his weapons combined in New York.
New York had absolutely no weapons.
Zero.
I think it'll be a good move for Sam. I think it's a good move for Carolina. If the Jets want to move on, I think it's a good move because we'll see if they'll put their faith probably in Zach Wilson or somebody like that.
Definitely. But I think it's a good trade for both sides, honestly. The Panthers get to try a new quarterback situation because obviously Teddy Bridgewater was not working out.
Teddy Bridgewater is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Definitely. All right, let's talk about our next big slot of news after that, which is Julian Edelman, Tom Brady's security blanket, Super Bowl 52 MVP, has announced his retirement after a failed physical. What do you think?
Well, I've never liked Julian Edelman because, you know, Baltimore fan, rivalries with the Patriots, always hated him. But I think he was, like, in reality, I may hate him, but he was a good player, a very reliable player, very solid player. He was never a standout player, but he was always a guy that was a go-to guy. You know, he could get the job done when he needed to get it done. So, overall, good career. He went undrafted, didn't he?
7th round, I think. He was drafted as a quarterback out of Kent State, actually. Converted quarterback.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I forgot, yeah.
But he was a 7th rounder, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He turned out to be a very successful career for what he was drafted. I think due to the sole fact that he was drafted in the 7th round, switched positions, and had the career that he had, I think he will go in the Hall of Fame. Or at very least, he'll go into the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Oh, he'll definitely go to the Patriots Ring of Honor, I'm sure, whatever their equivalent of that is. I don't think he'll go in the Hall of Fame, and here's why. People like Hines Ward have had much better stats. Hines Ward has about 400 more receptions and many, I think it was 70 more touchdowns or something, and Hines Ward has not even gotten on the ballot, or has not been able to get on the ballot. And even though Julian Edelman has ridiculous playoff numbers, and a Super Bowl MVP to boot, I don't think that he is Hall of Fame worthy.
Well, I think you also got to look at the team he was on. He was on probably the best dynasty in NFL history. So, you got to take that into effect as well. I think he's Hall of Fame. It's a debate that really could go either way.
I don't think it even is a debate until someone like Hines Ward gets into the Hall of Fame.
And that's where I disagree. I think he has. Because he was always a very, very solid guy. I think, and you have to take that into account.
You can have a great career. You can have a great career and not go in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, yeah.
You can have a good career. You can have a great career and not go into the Hall of Fame.
Philip
Rivers had a great career. He's probably not going to go into the Hall of Fame.
You have to look at the team that he's on. You have to look at the amount of Super Bowls they won, the position he played, the reliability that Brady used on him. Philip Rivers didn't win a Super Bowl. That's going to be the main reason why. He never even won an AFC championship. That's going to be part of the reason Philip Rivers probably doesn't go into the Hall of Fame.
Julian Edelman wasn't orchestrating that. He was just kind of there. He was like, I mean, obviously he was contributing in his own way, especially in the playoffs, but just with the numbers that he had.
But to be Brady's go-to guy is a big thing. I think that's going to go into it because when Brady needed somebody, he usually went to Julian Edelman, and that's a big thing, especially for a guy like Brady who's the best quarterback, probably top 5, maybe even best quarterback of all time. Probably is the best quarterback of all time. But it's a big thing in my opinion. And honestly, Hall of Fame, I don't know. I don't know. It's a toss-up for me. But that's for me. I think that's probably the biggest thing me and you disagree on. I think he had a very good career, especially with the team he was on.
I don't disagree. He had a great career, especially coming up clutch, and I don't think that should be discounted. He was always a clutch guy, always a playoff guy, always made the plays when they needed to be made. And, of course, won Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 52 against the Rams, which was the most boring Super Bowl of all time. But still, a Super Bowl MVP is nothing to sneeze at, especially in this league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and see, this is where you're starting to contradict yourself, though, because you got a Super Bowl MVP. He was a go-to guy. Playoff numbers are incredible. But that doesn't mean
that does not equal. I'm saying he has a great career, and obviously you should celebrate it. But Hall of Fame is stretching it until
there are people in the
like
Hall of Fame
Hines
that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Agreed?
Like Hines Ward gets into the Hall of Fame. It should not even be an argument that he should get.
Tell me this. There are people in the Hall of Fame who shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Agreed?
Why is that? Oh yeah, well of course there are some. Yeah. Not every person who gets in is deserving of the Hall of Fame, but most are, I would say.
I think because even if he's not deserving of it, the team he was on will put him in the Hall of Fame.
No, I don't think so. No. It's based more today on individual performance. Maybe in the olden times it was more on team performance, but now it's definitely more focused on individual performance.
Yeah, but you also got to remember that he didn't just play in the 2010s, or he didn't just play the last 3 seasons. He played football before all these young guys were in. So, I think it's a big, big toss-up for me. And honestly, if he doesn't go into the Hall of Fame, again, that's a very justified. It's not like, he should be in the Hall of Fame. He could or he couldn't be. He was a very reliable. Like I said, he was not a standout guy. He's not a guy that you would say, no doubt, first ballot, going to the Hall of Fame no matter what. So, it's a toss-up for me. But anyways, so we don't continuously argue about that. James Conner heads over to Arizona on a 1-year deal. What's your opinion?
I like this signing by Arizona, and here's why. Arizona kind of had a lackluster running attack. Everyone kind of expected Kenyon Drake to break out in a big way last year, and he really didn't. Chase Edmonds kind of took the starting role from him and ran with it. And I wouldn't pencil in Edmonds as the day one starter. And so Kenyon Drake did not do well. He's on the Raiders now. I think they're converting him to wide receiver, actually. And I think this is a good signing. It's kind of a low-risk, high-reward kind of thing because Conner had some good years. He had some good years in Pittsburgh. Obviously on one of the worst rushing offenses in the league. But his individual performance was not bad.
Right. Like you said, low-risk, high-reward. What's the worst that can happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Especially they've already got Chase Edmonds there. Mm-hmm. They should be all right in Arizona.
So, at least we can agree with that. So, off of the controversial stuff. God, that was a tough one. Let's move on to the remaining free agents. Let's start out with Alex Smith, which I love Alex Smith, but unfortunately, I don't even know who's going to get signed.
I don't know either. And here's the thing. Alex Smith is one of the best mentors in all of football.
Right.
Obviously mentoring people like Patrick Mahomes and Colin Kaepernick and all these good to great quarterbacks. So to bad obviously Dwayne Haskins, but he doesn't offer a whole lot of arm talent, but I think he is definitely somewhere that they will have a young quarterback that needs mentorship. A place like Jacksonville, I think, would be great. Or even Denver, have they plan on drafting a quarterback.
Right.
Or maybe even the New York Jets. If they've got Zach Wilson incoming, they can have Alex Smith backing him up. Won't give him a whole lot of arm talent, but definitely some mentorship, like some veteran leadership. And then I think that's very, very needed, especially in a first-year rookie who's coming into the league.
Well, I said another good place for him, and I know this sounds crazy, and they're never going to agree with me on this, the Miami Dolphins. Tua, however you say his last name, I always forget it.
Tagovailoa.
Yeah, Tagovailoa, whatever. There's a lot of weight on his shoulders right now. They could split time next year, or he could play like half. He could play a couple, like not. Tua would be the main starter, but you have Alex Smith to sit back and Alex Smith had a lot of ups and downs of his career. He's kind of been a journeyman quarterback, not to the whole Fitzmagic standard, but he can sit back and tell Tua, you just relax. You got a lot more ahead of your career. This is probably he'll probably have one season left or two, even if he gets signed. So I think bringing him on for like a team like the Dolphins, where they've got a young guy who really, really has all this weight on his shoulders. If he fails, he will not be signed again by the Dolphins. He will not be the Dolphins quarterback. To kind of mentor him and teach him how to deal with this pressure, I think that's more of a better option for him because he knows he's not going to be the starter anywhere right now. The quarterback competition is way too high for him to be a starter right now. So unless it's like in Houston, and Houston doesn't draft a quarterback. So
yeah, no, I agree. I actually like that situation. I don't think they should split time. I think Alex Smith should just be the full-time backup. But
that's what I meant to say. Like, no, I don't think they should split time. I think they should give Alex Smith some snaps, but like I think it should be more of a role where Alex Smith talks to Tua about how to deal with all this because Tua's on a very short leash right now. So, and I have love for my lefties out there. So,
I like that destination. Let's talk about the beleaguered wide receiver superstar, AB Antonio Brown. Also rapper and criminal and potential rapist. I don't even know what to call him anymore.
Well,
where do you think are his best fits, if any? If any team wants to take a flyer on him?
Well, I think he knew we really didn't have much of a leash this year, so he shut up finally. And he did okay with the Bucs. He was not the starting receiver. He was not starting.
He was number 3.
He was not the main slot receiver. So I don't know. Maybe he goes back to the Bucs.
Well, he's been like he wants to sign back with the Bucs, and he's made that clear on social media.
Right. He wants to call the Bucs home, which I get that because there's so much down on that team. But in reality, I don't know. I don't know if any team wants to deal with that. Even though he may calm down and not be what he was a year ago. Like he was this year, he wasn't horrible. Like he shut up because he wasn't the star like he was at Pittsburgh for all those years. But
he had 6 touchdowns in the second half of the year in the playoffs, so not half bad at all. Couple 100 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's not bad.
And I think the Ravens would be a good. I don't know if they'd call it a good spot. I don't know if I want us to take him in all honesty, but I don't know if I want to deal with Antonio Brown. But we do need receivers really badly, and so. I think he'll probably go back with the Bucs. I think the Bucs will sign him for like a 1-year deal and then be done with it. But I don't know. Again, it's a guy that I don't know if he'll be signed.
I think the best location for him is Tampa, but I don't think he'll go there. I don't think they have the cap space to really do that. I think his most likely destination is the Ravens because of his connections on that team, like his cousin Hollywood Brown. And he's been linked to Lamar. They've worked out together. They're from like the same parts of Florida, I think, or something like that. But
he'd be the number 1 receiver if he was over here.
They're friends, and I think that's probably his most likely destination. I don't know that I want that to happen as a Ravens fan. I don't know if that's going to be too much drama, but
Right.
he's certainly got something left in the tank, whether he use it for good or evil. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, what do you think about Jadeveon Clowney? Where do you think he's gonna go?
Jadeveon Clowney. So Jadeveon Clowney kind of had a really disappointing year with the Titans. They signed him late in the offseason. He didn't
Right.
get the long-term deal he was looking for, and I think that his most likely destination is probably somewhere like Cleveland. They've been heavily in on him, and they need to improve their pass rush. They lost Olivier Vernon this year, and they don't really have anybody on that edge right now. They've got, I think it's Sheldon Rankins in the middle, I think it is. And so he's a good big man. And Sheldon Richardson, my bad, in the middle. And I think he's a good big man, but they need more pressure on the edges. They need more pressure to generate from the sides of their line. And I think that Jadeveon Clowney I think he could have a resurgence because he's not going to be relied on in that Cleveland defense. Like they've got
Right.
Myles Garrett on the other side. So
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be okay there. I think that would be a good fit for him.
I don't know. I think the Browns could be a spot for him, but I think the Ravens would be a really good spot for him. You know, we need edge guys, so I don't know. I think he'll get signed. I think it'll probably be by either the Browns, the Ravens, or maybe I don't know, a team that just needs talent. You know,
Hmm.
but
I think he's definitely
sorry.
suited for like a veteran, not necessarily veteran, but definitely contending team.
Uh
Let's talk about
Sorry
our
for that.
next free
Sorry.
agent. We've got Melvin Ingram, another pass rusher. He coming off a year in which he had I think it was a pretty decent sack total, but coming off a year of the Chargers. I think my favorite destination for him here is the Kansas City Chiefs.
I agree completely with you on that.
I think they kind of learned the importance of the pass rush in
No shit.
in the Super Bowl. And I don't really think they've got Chris Jones plug in the middle there, and yeah, I think they could use some more pressure from the edge, and even it's like a veteran guy like Ingram, I think he's still got a little bit, maybe a season or two left in the tank.
No, look, I think Melvin Ingram will go to the Chiefs either way because after the way they played on Super Bowl, what was it 55, right?
54, I think.
Whichever one it was. um, they know what they need, and I think he'll probably end up going there. But you know, there are some other options. But let's talk about Richard Sherman.
Richard Sherman, so the last cornerback, and it is so even though he's old and doesn't have the speed he used to, it is surprising to me with the amount of football IQ that he has remained unsigned. It's very surprising to me.
You know, I don't necessarily love Richard Sherman, but I honestly agree with you. You know, granted, in his prime, probably the best corner
Definitely,
in the
definitely.
NFL. But shit, I'm sorry. He's still got some left in the tank, in my opinion. I think he should be signed. I may not love him, but he should be signed, I think.
I think definitely, and I think he'll go to like a defense needy team like the Cowboys
Right.
or like the Raiders. And I think the Cowboys would be an especially good fit because he's got that big market personality, and Jerry Jones has that big market personality, and the Cowboys are that big market team that I think he'll fit in well with.
Right. I think that he'll probably end up going, like you said, a defense needed team. So I'm still very surprised that he hasn't been signed, but I have no doubt in my mind he'll be signed.
I think he will, especially on a team that needs veteran leadership especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Right, exactly. So I think it'll be something to that sort. I don't think he'll be signed anywhere with super contention because he's not the player he was. But
Hmm.
for sure he'll get a sign somewhere. Anyways, while I can grab another water really quick because I've been sucking down this water. You can start on your NHL. I'll be right back.
All right, we got a lot to talk about in the NHL today. We've got the NHL Trade Deadline that happened this past Sunday, I think, or Monday. Yeah, Monday. And so we have a whole host of deals to go through. The first deal with my Capitals, of course, is involving Anthony Mantha going to the Capitals and the Jacob Vrana, Richard Panik, a first and a second going to Detroit. And so, as a Caps fan, my gut reaction to this deal was, oh my god, it's terrible. We overpaid for him. But as I look at it more, I like it more and more because so basically there's two separate trades happening here. It's Vrana and a first round pick for Anthony Mantha, which I think is a fair-ish deal. And then Panik and the second rounder, they're basically paying Detroit to take on Richard Panik's contract so they could make that deal with Anthony Mantha work. And that's basically what's happening in this deal. In the NHL, they have a flat salary cap moving forward because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so, like economics and shit, I don't really get it, but the salary cap is not increasing, so the teams are kind of stuck with where they are with the salary cap. It's not going up with inflation or anything. And so they need, a lot of teams acted like brokers to try to make those deals happen. And definitely the Red Wings were one of those teams who picked up picks, basically buying picks. Like, we'll take on this guy's contract if you give us like a second round pick or a fourth round pick or whatever. So the contending teams can make those trades work. And I think that's kind of what happened here with Anthony Mantha going to the Capitals and the big piece, Jacob Vrana, going to the Detroit Red Wings. And Anthony Mantha has actually already scored a goal for the Capitals tonight. They're playing right now. And Mantha has already picked up 2 points, a goal, and an assist. The other big moves include David Savard going from the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are big sellers at this deadline. They recognize that this year is not their year, and they have begun selling. They sold David Savard. They sold Nick Foligno, and I'm trying to think of a few other players. They didn't completely revamp their core, but they sold a good deal of talent to those contending teams. But David Savard gets moved for a first. I think that's definitely some good back end defensive depth for the Tampa Bay Lightning, who definitely need it. They've been hurt by injuries a little bit this year. Yeah. The Bruins grab Curtis Lazar and former Hart Trophy winner, which is basically like an MVP award for those non-hockey fans, who's Taylor Hall, and then for Anders Bjork and a second. So from the Buffalo Sabres. And the Buffalo Sabres, I've gone over this, have had an absolutely disastrous year. And Taylor Hall, who they signed for $9 million, has had a terrible season. He has like something like 5 goals or something and only like one 5-on-5 goal, which is ridiculously terrible. And so they were they got kind of shafted in this deal because Taylor Hall was playing like terribly, and they got back a kind of disappointing prospect in Anders Bjork and a second round pick from the Bruins, which is probably going to be a later round pick because of, the Bruins being good and all that. But yeah, this deal is definitely weighted in favor of Boston. They get some depth in Lazar and Hall because they have been fielding JV squads because they've been hit by the injury bug hard, and they already weren't a deep team to begin with. They had their top line scoring and not a whole lot else. Let's see. Maple Leafs have been active at the trade deadline. They, of course, got goaltending help in David Rittich. Their number one goaltender, Frederik Andersen, has been out for multiple weeks. And their second guy, Jack Campbell, who has won 12 games in a row, which is an NHL record, by the way, which is crazy. He's doing crazy well in Maple Leafs, but he can't start every night. They need another goaltender up in Toronto. They got it in David Rittich from the Calgary Flames, who have also become sellers at this trade deadline. Another thing that the Calgary Flames sold was former 4th overall pick Sam Bennett, who has really just never panned out in a Flames uniform. He gets shipped to the Florida Panthers for a 2nd-round pick, or actually 2 second-round picks. Florida hopes they can make use of him, be like a middle 6 guy behind Hornqvist and behind people like behind their major goal scorers on the first line. The Isles beef up on their center and wing depth. They get Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac from the New Jersey Devils. And so the Devils get a couple of prospects and a couple of picks to go along with those 2 players. Those 2 players were probably some of the Devils' best. They both played center on the Devils in New Jersey, but I think that Zajac could easily switch to wing, and Kyle Palmieri will probably stay at center in the wake of Anders Lee getting injured a couple of weeks ago. Nick Foligno dealt from the Blue Jackets to Maple Leafs. They get another offensive weapon to bolster their center depth behind John Tavares. The Chicago Blackhawks move Matthijs Janmark to the Vegas Golden Knights and Carl Soderberg back to Colorado to try to stock up on those draft picks. And so, Chicago's in kind of a weird spot. One of their best players, Jonathan Toews, has been out for this entire season. But they have really done surprisingly well. They were in contention for the 4th playoff spot in the Central Division for a really long time, and it was really surprising. And they publicly came out and said at the beginning of the year, they're like, hey, we're rebuilding. Like, we're not going to be in a position to compete this year. Like, we're going to suck. And they came out and they really competed, and they really did well because, Kirby Dach was out with a broken wrist. Jonathan Toews has been out, and Patrick Kane has been racking up numbers, but they've been doing really well, especially behind their rookie goaltender, Kevin Lackinen. He's been carrying them, and he's been doing extremely well. And I think that progress that the Blackhawks have shown outweighs, the probably middling draft pick they'll get. And then the final deal, Pittsburgh grabs a former Cup winner in Jeff Carter from the Los Angeles Kings for a 3rd and a 4th round pick. And this was one of the most interesting deals of the days because Jeff Carter was not a guy that was really talked about being moved a lot. He'd been in a Kings jersey for so long, and he won, of course, the Cups with them. And it's really weird to see him, especially to a team like Pittsburgh, who already has crazy veteran leadership and people like Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang. It's kind of strange to see him moved like that, but they also didn't pay a whole lot for him, so that's really one of the things I don't know. I'm iffy on that deal on both sides. Like, it's not a bad deal, it's just kind of strange. Patrick Laine, some of my best plays of the week include Patrick Laine going 200 feet, where he started from behind the goal, took it all the way himself for a beautiful deep, and then Matthews on a hat trick night picks up the league lead in goals with 32 goals as he put a one-timer past, I think, the Flames goaltender. And that's going to be it for the NHL segment for this week. We had a lot to talk about because of the NHL Trade Deadline, but I will hand the mantle over to Cameron for the MLB section, the Dugout Talk section.
I was gonna say, yeah, we listen to names or what? Not a whole bunch to talk about here, MLB wise, but there's a couple of highlights, a couple of lowlights actually too.
A couple of highlights. What are you talking about? Joe Musgrove threw the first no-hitter in Padres history. Cameron, what are you talking about? Not many highlights.
It's. I said there's a couple of highlights, but first of all, it's not just that. It was also the first no-hitter in the MLB season, correct? Right? I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because we haven't had any. Yeah, and for this early in the season, that's a while. That's a wild guess. And last year didn't even happen until like the first couple of weeks, whatever. But anyways, Joe Musgrove, no hitter. Congrats to him. When MLB Show 16 or when MLB Show 21 comes out, I'll know he'll have a 99 card. But anyways, MLB The Show 21 curse I think is worse than the Madden curse. The MLB The Show curse is way worse. Tatis's injury, man. They just paid him a freaking, what was it, like a $400 million deal or whatever.
$400 million, something crazy like that.
14 years and he just freaking bad injury. But and in all seriousness, I hope he gets better. But I don't know if the curse is actually. I believed in the Madden curse, and now I'm starting to believe in an MLB The Show curse. So, Mike Trout, stay off the MLB The Show cover for the love of God, please. But
has he not been a cover athlete yet? I would have thought.
No, he has not, and he's the best player in the MLB too. But
that's kind of crazy to think about.
Dodgers got one of their big bats back. Mookie's back from his injury after a couple nights out against their series in the Nationals and stuff like that. Mookie, that's going to be a big addition. The Dodgers have a great lineup regardless, but he'll be back in the lineup, which will be nice for Mookie, nice for the Dodgers. Our low light of the night, Patrick Corbin's outing. Ooh, I was watching the Nats game the other night, and I have a friend who's a big Nats fan. It's Jake, you're friends with him too. Patrick Corbin started out okay, and he gave up 6 runs through 6 innings.
Well, he also had that bout with COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but really, really, really set the tone for the game because the Nats never were able to catch a grip after that. Once it became 6-3, then it was 9-3, and then it was 9-4. So that's our low light. But
I would think the low light of the week would be the missed call at the on the Phillies Braves game I watched that.
That's a big low light too.
How do you get that wrong?
It does happen. I'm telling you, it does happen.
Like they had like a whole review thing. It was like a whole big thing, and they got it wrong. Like, and it was
Have you ever
clear,
heard of
clear to everyone that it was.
Have you ever heard of a man called Angel Hernandez?
I have. Yeah, I do know that guy. One of the worst umps in the MLB.
He is the absolute worst umpire in the MLB.
Didn't he file a lawsuit against MLB? I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Or it was like racial discrimination or something like that, and then he lost. Because he just sucked. Because the judge was basically like, no, you suck. Like, that's not how that works.
No, but he's had some really bad calls, Angel Hernandez, so it's not like this is the first thing in a while.
But like, no, that's like a thing that was like up in like New York. Like that was like a replay thing. That's why I'm.
Yeah, I know, but there was replays. There was replays from New York of like search up Angel Hernandez lowlights. You'll find some really bad calls.
He's got some bad calls, but I don't think this one was his fault. That was like the guys like up in the booth's fault because they had that.
No, I know, but I'm saying you have to watch that, and this call won't be as bad as some of the ones he's made. So.
Okay, all right, but still like a game altering call.
Oh, it's definitely definitely a low light for sure. No doubt. But Yu Chang, I think is how you pronounce it. Anti-Asian, anti-racist, or I said anti-Asian, anti-Asian racist DM. Had some back and forth with teammates, and he's claiming that there was some racial slurs, some racial stuff thrown out, and.
Well, yeah, after he made that error, he plunked he was trying to make the throw to second base, and he plunked it off the guy's helmet, and that allowed the winning run to score.
Yep. And, unfortunately, this is not how baseball should be. Baseball is a classy sport. It's not classless. There shouldn't be any of this going on. It's a shame for the game, in my opinion. In my opinion, baseball should be one of the classiest sports less so classiest sport ever, but like one of the classiest sports in the world.
I've always seen baseball as like one of the more classy sports, except for when
it's a gentleman's game. It's a gentleman's game. It should be played by gentlemen, and it should be played like a gentleman. So,
except when it's in Boston.
Yep, and except when it's an anti-Asian racist DM as well. But it's a shame for the game, and I hope it doesn't happen again. I know there's been some slip-ups like this. I know now that we live in the 21st century, baseball's played a different way. But in the 21st century, there shouldn't be any – there's that whole Asian racism thing going around as well.
Stop Asian hate or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but as a man that, has seen this going around a couple of times, not Yu Chang getting racial slurs thrown at him, but I've seen some stuff like this happen. It shouldn't happen. It's a shame for the game, and you know what? It should be handled by the MLB and the commissioner and all of that. But off of that stuff, I want to end on a high note. The Orioles are doing fantastic for being such an unskilled team right now. No offense, Orioles.
Right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think they are. They're playing Seattle. I think they're winning.
Yeah, second game of doubleheader. Their game yesterday got postponed. That'll do it for the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate it. If you got this far, you are the real GOAT.
Yes, sir. JC Mania all the way, baby.
JC Mania all the way. JC Mania FTW. Hey, Cameron, I think we should do a draft special. Honestly.
Sure.
Like we should make a video.
You want to do a live stream?
Oh, we could do it. That'd be dope. Let's do that.
That'd be dope.
Live stream. Draft night. First round. It's on.
For sure.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Find us anywhere podcasts are found. You guys have a great week.
Thanks, guys.